I'm recording this on Sunday night, fresh off of the elimination of the Philadelphia Eagles in the 2025-26 NFL playoffs. So the vibes are a little bit low, but let's get the vibes back up here talking about our Philadelphia Phillies. In fact, this is episode 200 of Phillies Daily. That's right, 200. Thank you guys all for staying tuned here with me. If you were here from the beginning of the journey or joined along the way, I appreciate each and every single one of you. With that, welcome into Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Hennelly. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Now, we heard right before the weekend, I believe, actually, some news kind of involving the Phillies, not fully involving the Phillies, but the Arizona Diamondbacks, they pretty much said that they are not trading all-star second baseman Ketel Marte. There was a lot of rumors this offseason. The Phillies were linked to him multiple times that he could be traded, but they pretty much shut down those rumors moving forward. So that's an option for the Phillies that they were heavily linked to throughout the offseason. That's probably not getting traded and probably won't be in a Phillies uniform in 2026. Also, I'm sure you saw former Philly, who's currently a free agent right now, Max Kepler, the veteran outfielder who was with the team throughout the 2025 season. We all know how that went for him. Not a very good season overall for Max Kepler, a very failed experiment for the Phillies. But he has been suspended by Major League Baseball for 80 games for performance-enhancing drug use. Yes, he took PEDs. He got caught. And again, he's a free agent, so not really with the Phillies anymore, but he was with the Phillies this past year. Again, episode 200 of Phillies Daily. Thank you guys again for all your support. Let's get into today's actual topics. And speaking of free agents, I wanted to still kind of hint and talk about this free agent class here this offseason. We all know there's been a lot of big names here in this free agent class, and a lot of these big names have not signed yet. We saw one of the bigger dominoes fall the other day on Saturday night, actually. Alex Bregman, the all-star third baseman, he signed a 5-year deal with the Chicago Cubs, so big move by the Chicago Cubs. He was one of the top names available. A lot of these guys, spring training starts next month, so we're getting really close to baseball season, and a lot of these guys, big name guys, even outside of those top 4 or however many guys that you pretty much quote-unquote would say were the top free agents, there's still a lot of valuable and impactful second-tier options, whether it's in the field or obviously starting pitching, and just a lot of good players still available in free agency, which has been very weird, but maybe the dominoes start to fall, and everybody starts to sign here after that Alex Bregman news to the Cubs. But with the kind of delayed free agency here, and maybe these guys don't have quite the markets that they thought they would have had to this point, could the Phillies still be in on some of these top free agents? We know there's interest here as of late in Bichette, the all-star middle infielder, formerly with the Toronto Blue Jays. He's been heavily linked to the Phillies, especially as of late. But Kyle Tucker, arguably probably one of the top 3 free agents available this offseason, the left-handed hitting all-star caliber, MVP caliber outfield, he still is a free agent, and his market could be changing. There has been reports that maybe possibly he's not going to land that massive $400 million contract that a lot of people believes, and even his own camp and himself believes he could land this offseason. He may have to take a shorter-term deal as opposed to that long-term $400 million contract. A shorter-term deal, which means obviously a higher annual average value salary there for Kyle Tucker. So he'd be making a lot in that short-term contract, but still, maybe that keeps the Phillies in play. They go after him on a short-term deal. You commit a lot financially for that 1 or 2, maybe 3-year deal, but it could keep the Phillies as an option for Kyle Tucker. Probably not, but you never know. The Phillies should keep tabs on that situation to see how it all plays out. There wouldn't be a long-term commitment if that were the case, that he signed a shorter-term deal and not that long-term $400 million deal. Could help the team win now, obviously. You go for a World Series championship. That's the kind of move you make. You bring in Kyle Tucker on maybe a 1-year deal. Obviously, probably like $40 million on that 1-year deal. Some absurd amount of money, but that helps you win a World Series, maybe like a 1-year, 2-year deal, or 1-year deal with a second-year option, maybe a 3-year deal with an opt-out after the first year. There's ways to make a contract work on a shorter-term deal. Obviously, again, a lot of money for that 1 year, but it is a move that the Phillies could possibly make happen. They'd obviously have to make some other moves to free up some more money, but with his market and really not quite, at least at this point, too that $400 million long-term contract, the Phillies could possibly still be in play for a guy like Kyle Tucker. And again, getting back to the Bo Bichette rumors, obviously we all know he's been heavily linked to them throughout the offseason, especially in the last couple of days, the last couple of weeks or so. Here, they hired the Blue Jays' former bench coach who was with Bo Bichette for the past few years, Don Mattingly, to be the Phillies' new bench coach in 2026. So there's that connection as well. Seems like there's mutual interest. They're supposed to be meeting here again. So interestingly enough, on 94 WIP, last week, they put out a poll on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. They put out a poll saying pretty much, if the Phillies can only sign one of these players, who would you rather sign? Now, those options were between JT Realmuto, the Phillies' former catcher, who's a free agent right now, and Bo Bichette, the former Blue Jays all-star middle infielder, shortstop, potentially second baseman now here moving forward. 78.8% said sign Bo Bichette as opposed to 21.1% saying sign JT Realmuto. Now that's really interesting because in my opinion, when I make these videos or do my writing for my other site that I write for, put out some pieces, articles, or just talk about the Phillies, a lot of JT Realmuto lovers out there, as there should be. He's been a huge piece of this team. Great leader, great player ever since they acquired him back in 2019 from the Miami Marlins. Obviously getting older, declining overall, offensively and defensively, pretty much just a shell of himself at this point. And signing him to a 3-year deal worth $15+ million a year, way too much in my opinion. I feel like you just shouldn't move. It's time to move on from JT Realmuto. There is feelings, there's emotions, and then there's the business side of it. And that's really the ultimate goal here is to win a World Series. You're not in it for emotions. You're not in it for feelings or good vibe, good stories, I should say. You're in it to win a championship. It's a business at the end of the day, and moving on from JT Realmuto is the smarter move for the Phillies. They can make things work at the catcher position. It's not going to be a huge drop-off. We all know JT Realmuto is not the same guy offensively or defensively that he used to be a few years ago. Just doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to bring him back, and it seems like Phillies fans are starting to realize that and lean into that. And obviously, if you're going to get a guy like Bo Bichette, if that means you're not going to get JT Realmuto back, then it's just a better move overall for your franchise. Speaking of Bo Bichette, what happens? What does that mean if the Phillies sign Bo Bichette? What kind of dominoes does that? How does it all play out after signing Bo Bichette if that happens this offseason? Obviously, a lot would happen. You're committing to Bo Bichette. You're likely signing him between a 5 to 8 year contract worth probably $250 to $300 million range, whatever it might be. He's looking, rumors and reports say, to be making or seeking $300 million on a contract. Now he's 27 years old. I believe he's going to be 28 pretty soon. Obviously has played shortstop throughout his career, a little bit of second base in the World Series this past year, open to playing second base, great fielder, great hitter, 300 caliber hitter at the plate. He can hit 20, 25 plus home runs, drive in 100 plus RBIs. He's really got it all. So it would be a good commitment for the Phillies. He'd help this team obviously win a World Series or at least try to get there yet again, drastically improve their odds in that category. But signing Bo Bichette means other guys are no longer going to be on this Phillies team. Obviously, you're probably not going to bring back JT Realmuto because you're not just going to have the money that he wants to bring him back. And again, I should mention before I get into it that the Phillies are supposed to be meeting with Bo Bichette actually here today, I believe. A video call, I believe it's supposed to be. And it's also reportedly their second meeting with Bo Bichette this offseason. So maybe there is a lot of interest here between the two sides, and maybe we could see a deal get done here. Again, he's reportedly looking for $300 million, so it is a big commitment, but a commitment that the Phillies should be willing to make here if they're really serious about competing with teams like the Los Angeles Dodgers to win a World Series in 2026 and in the next coming years. While you still have some of this core group, some of these guys still in their prime are getting older and kind of exiting their prime, but this is the championship window here with Bryce Harper, with Trey Turner, with Zach Wheeler, with some of these other guys, and signing Bo Bichette really just helps you win that all here. Again, likely no money to re-sign JT Realmuto, so his Phillies tenure would be all but over if you sign Bo Bichette. Then you also would have to probably trade a guy like Alec Bohm or Bryson Stott. There's too many guys in the infield. You obviously have Trey Turner locked in for a bunch of more years on a long-term contract at shortstop. You got Bryce Harper at first base. Right now you have Alec Bohm at third, Bryson Stott in a platoon at second. So you sign Bo Bichette. He takes over at second base most likely. Then you have nowhere for Bryson Stott. You can move Bryson Stott to third base, trade Alec Bohm. You could trade Bryson Stott, keep Alec Bohm at third base, but then he's a free agent after the year. He's been in trade rumors as well anyway the past year or so, 2 years, and he may not even be back if he doesn't re-sign after the season. So a lot of decisions for the Phillies to make if they do go after Bo Bichette. Now, Bohm is in his final year under club control, as I mentioned. He's going to be making $10.2 million after avoiding arbitration here in 2026. Bryson Stott has 2 more years of club control, a little bit younger, cheaper option as well to Bohm. He's making almost $5 million less than Bohm, actually cheaper than Bohm. So there's that. Maybe you free up more money, obviously, by trading Alec Bohm, and it could be the more likely option because reportedly, leading up to avoiding the arbitration this offseason recently, last week, I believe it was, with Alec Bohm. Apparently, it was a bumpy ride in those agreements, or in that those discussions, those negotiations to ultimately land at that $10.2 million money salary for the 2026 season. They're avoiding arbitration. Alec Bohm and the Phillies, again, he's been in trade rumors going back to last year after the season, at the trade deadline, during the season, in trade rumors again this offseason. He's had a bumpy ride really throughout his career here in Philadelphia. Early on, he had the defensive struggles at third base. Fans were always booing him. He had that moment caught on camera. You know, the rest is history. He won over the fans, though. After that, everybody started loving Alec Bohm, but then turning into a kind of a streaky hitter, not really ever taking that next level into the elite kind of hitter and even power kind of guy the Phillies kind of hoped and thought he could. So he's getting older. He's going to be 30 years old. He's obviously going to be a free agent after the season, looking for a big payday. All-star caliber third baseman, but again, just kind of a bumpy ride. He's had some emotional issues here with the Phillies, behavioral issues, immaturity throughout his tenure here as well. Still some defensive struggles, but a lot better. Again, just a little bit streaky, some injuries. So some Phillies fans, really a lot of Phillies fans, are ready to move on from Alec Bohm. So if you sign Bo Bichette, you can trade Alec Bohm, save some money there with that $10.2 million salary here in 2026. Obviously, save some more money than you would by trading Bryson Stott. That opens up a spot at third base then. So then you have most likely Trey Turner at shortstop, Bo Bichette at second base, Bryce Harper at first base. And then could you sign or slide Bryson Stott over to third base? Bryson Stott is very good defensively. We all know that. He's played primarily second base for the Phillies, has played a decent amount of shortstop as well. Only 2 games ever at the major league level with the Phillies that he appeared at third base, and those 2 games came way back in 2022 in his rookie year, so hasn't played third base, but again, very good defender. Obviously, he'd be the better defensive option than Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette's only played shortstop. He said he's willing to play second base. Probably not a good fit at third base. Trey Turner also, maybe you could move him into the outfield. He's also played second base, but he's likely still your shortstop. So Bryson Stott, you test him out at third base, see how that goes. If not, then who knows? Aiden Miller, hopefully their number 2 prospect. He could be ready soon. He could likely take over at third base. But then again, you still have a crowded infield. But that's probably what would happen here. You would have Bo Bichette at second, Bryson Stott at third, Trey Turner at short. And that's kind of how that part of the infield would look, with Aiden Miller obviously trying to make an impact here. Maybe not in 2026, but obviously 2027 or maybe on the back end of 2026. We'll see what happens, but that's kind of what's going on here in Phillies land. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Phillies Daily. I'm your host, Mike Kennelly. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Hopefully you guys aren't taking that Eagles loss too tough. Wasn't really ever their year in my opinion, so obviously hopefully they can figure things out and get back at it here in the 2026 season next year. A couple months off, but it's Phillies baseball season now all of a sudden. Let's get ready for a great season. Hopefully they can make some more moves and compete for a World Series here in 2026. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, go Phils.